Welcome back. I'm Angela Murphy and you're watching Global Pulse here on Asia One. It's good to have your company. Time to take a look now at what's been making news this week in North America. For one weekend each year, the night sky above central Mexico becomes a canvas of colour. Thousands gather for the International Cantoya Festival, where handmade paper balloons celebrate centuries of tradition, creativity and community.
More than 20,000 visitors flocked to the lakeside town of Pátzcuaro, where over 250 colourful paper balloons were launched during the International Cantoya Festival. Teams from Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Italy, France and El Salvador showcased the centuries-old craft, celebrating one of Michoacán's most cherished traditions. Organisers say this year's festival attracted strong participation from both local and international balloon makers.
We have brought together more than 100 national teams as well as several local teams. We also have 17 international participants from the invited countries Colombia, Brazil, France, Italy, and El Salvador.
Festival organisers say each handmade balloon represents months of skill, creativity and dedication.
The significance of creating a work of art using a paper balloon is something that only balloon makers can truly appreciate.
Judges say the festival is about much more than competition, bringing families and communities together through a shared tradition.
It's a 100% family-friendly event that brings people together. It's a traditional toy, but it unites families and friends. Even with competition among balloon groups, everyone helps each other get their balloons into the sky.
Now, in its 10th year, the International Cantoya Festival continues to promote the traditional art of handmade paper balloons while drawing visitors from around the world to celebrate Mexico's rich cultural heritage.
It takes balance, trust and plenty of practice. Along California's coast, dogs and their owners are taking to the waves in a surfing competition that's as much about teamwork as it is about having fun.
Hundreds of spectators gathered at Linda Mar Beach in California for the annual World Dog Surfing Championships, where dogs of different breeds showcase their surfing skills by balancing on foam boards and riding waves. The light-hearted competition featured returning canine athletes, including 6-year-old French Bulldog Isa and Yellow Labrador Rosie, alongside other experienced surf dogs, drawing photographers, families and beachgoers eager to witness the unique event.
So we surf up and down the whole West Coast, from Huntington Beach to Pismo to Santa Cruz to San Diego to Pacifica. Here we are in Pacifica, and yeah, we do it all summer long, once a month. All summer long we're on vacation. So I mean, what a great thing to do all summer long.
The championship highlighted the close bond between dogs and their owners as teams demonstrated months of training and teamwork in the ocean. Visitors cheered the surfing dogs while volunteers prepared trophies for the winners, creating a festive atmosphere that celebrated the sport, pet companionship, and California's beach culture. The annual championship once again turned California's coastline into a celebration of canine talent, teamwork, and seaside fun.
Okay.
So let's head to South America. Argentina's economic reforms are facing growing resistance. Teachers, public workers and students have taken to the streets, saying deep spending cuts are coming at the expense of wages, education and essential public services.
In Buenos Aires, protesters marched from the obelisk toward Plaza de Mayo, gathering outside the Casa Rosada presidential palace. The action was organized by Teachers Union Citera and State Workers Union ATA, with classrooms left empty during the strike. Teachers accused the Javier Milei's government of cutting vital education funding.
El gobierno de Milei nos sacó.
Milei's government has taken away educational programs, teachers training teachers' salaries, school infrastructure, everything that makes for quality education and educational investment. We are demanding, together with Education International worldwide, more budget for public schools, which is what they have taken away from us. That is why today we are on strike and marching.
Esto es lo que nos han quitado, por eso
President Javier Milei came to office in late 2023, promising deep cuts to public spending. His government has faced repeated opposition over education funding, including a dispute over university financing after lawmakers moved to restore funding increases blocked by his veto. Teachers say stagnant wages are making it increasingly difficult for workers to meet basic living costs. Union leaders also point to layoffs across the public sector, arguing that families are facing growing financial pressure as government spending cuts continue.
hoy el maestro o la maestra.
Today, the average teacher's salary cannot make it to the end of the month. They pay the rent, and by the 15th of the month, they are left without money to live to eat. In Argentina, women are mostly the breadwinners. Additionally, at this moment, workers are being fired. So today, 70% of teachers are the main or the only breadwinner in the family. This is the situation Javier Milei's government is leading us to.
The strike comes amid a wider confrontation over Argentina's public sector, with unions warning that cuts to jobs and services are worsening economic hardship. University leaders are also pressing the government to implement funding approved by Congress.
Days of relentless rain have left communities across central and southern Chile underwater. As floodwaters isolate towns and force families from their homes, emergency crews are also dealing with extraordinary new danger: a massive sinkhole swallowing up part of a busy road.
In Angol, in Chile's Araucania region, police and soldiers used boats to rescue residents trapped by rising floodwaters. Emergency crews are working alongside local authorities as communities struggle with widespread flooding and damaged infrastructure. Chile's military says troops are helping flood-hit communities.
At this moment, we are together with the forces of the National Defense Headquarters, supporting the cooperation work with the community due to the heavy floods we have suffered mainly in the city of Angol.
In the Mall region, a jeep sank into a massive sinkhole after a road was weakened by the heavy rainfall. Firefighters pumped water from flooded homes while heavy machinery cleared mud and debris from affected streets. Chile's disaster agency Senapred says the storm system has affected more than 1,100 people, while over 6,200 remain isolated. At least 119 people are staying in shelters, with dozens of homes destroyed and hundreds suffering major damage. Authorities outline the scale of the storm's destruction.
At the time of the assessment, in terms of the impact of this frontal system, it records 2 people dead in the commune of Panguipulli, 1,142 people affected, 119 people who remain sheltered, 6,243 people isolated, 25 destroyed homes, 632 homes with major damage.
Emergency teams continue rescue and recovery operations as swollen rivers, flooded roads, and unstable ground create dangerous conditions. Authorities are assessing damage while preparing further assistance for communities hit by the storm.
Now, let's take a look at what's been making news in Africa. Most artists begin with a paintbrush, but one Nigerian artist begins with the earth itself. Transforming natural clay into vibrant colours, he's blending science, sustainability and tradition into works of art unlike any other.
In a studio in Lagos, artist Emmanuel Olatunde has developed an innovative way to create portraits using clay instead of conventional paint. The 39-year-old blends his background in chemistry with fine art, processing locally sourced clay into a range of colors. His eco-friendly technique is attracting attention as more African artists explore sustainable materials while reducing environmental impact. Olatunde says his breakthrough came after discovering that chemical oxidation could transform the color of clay, allowing him to create vibrant pigments for painting.
I found out that oxidation changes the color of clay, more than just the natural way the color changes from the soil and every other thing. So I went to look for oxide, which is one of the things that ceramists, they used to also change the color of their own clay. So that's where I got different colors. And binder, I tried it and it worked.
The artist says his lifelong passion for clay and painting inspired him to combine both disciplines into a single creative process.
I've always loved clay. I've always had interest in clay. When I got to school, I started working with clay, and I was good with it. I was so good with it, sculpture and ceramics, basically. They usually use them to create pots, sculpture pieces, right? But for me, as someone that wants to do painting, and I love clay, so I was in between choosing painting and ceramics or sculpture. So eventually I went to painting. Like this, yeah. So.
Although gaining acceptance for clay-based paintings remains a challenge, Olatunde continues to promote his work through exhibitions and social media. He hopes his innovation will encourage wider use of sustainable materials while expanding the possibilities of contemporary African art.
I already have here my base color.
Moving on now to Oceania. Australia spent years preparing for the arrival of the world's most devastating strain of bird flu. Now, those fears have become reality after authorities confirmed the country's first mass deaths of wild seabirds linked to the H5N1 virus, raising fresh concerns for the country's unique wildlife as well as the poultry industry.
Australia has watched H5N1 sweep across Europe, Asia, Africa and the Americas, killing countless wild birds and devastating poultry flocks. For a long time, geography offered protection, but that's changed. This week, authorities confirmed Australia's first mass mortality event linked to H5N1 after 49 greater crested terns died at Borden Rocks off the coast of South Australia. It marks a significant turning point in the country's long-running efforts to keep the virus at bay.
Whilst this is the first confirmed case of a mass mortality, and obviously a very concerning development, it is not unexpected and is certainly what we have seen overseas with this type of incursion of the H5. Sadly, we do know that once the H5 bird flu is spreading in wildlife and the natural environment, it is not possible to avoid significant losses, which is what we're starting to see now.
The discovery didn't come as a surprise. Australia has spent months strengthening biosecurity, expanding surveillance and preparing response plans, knowing migratory birds could eventually bring the virus south. Authorities says the public health risk remains low, but wildlife teams are now intensifying monitoring while poultry producers remain on alert. Unlike previous H7 outbreaks that affected commercial farms, H5N1 has already rewritten the record books overseas. Millions of wild birds have died, while the virus has also spread into mammals, including seals, sea lions and foxes.
The overseas experience has shown that we can't stop the spread of H5 bird flu among birds or among mammals. The reality is you can't stop native and wild birds flying around, and you can't stop wild animals moving around. And that will mean more mass mortality events like the one we have now seen.
For Australians, that's now the key message. The virus isn't spread through properly cooked chicken or eggs, and authorities continue to stress that Australia's food supply remains safe. Instead, the greatest immediate concern is protecting the country's unique wildlife before the virus spreads further through vulnerable seabird colonies during migration. Scientists say early detection gives Australia its best chance to slow the outbreak, even if stopping it altogether may prove impossible.
What we can do, and what we have been doing, is build up the resilience of the populations of our native birds and mammals.
For now, life goes on much as normal, but after years of watching one continent after another confront H5N1, Australia is no longer preparing for the virus. It's now learning to live with it, while hoping to protect the wildlife that makes this continent unlike anywhere else on Earth.
And that's all for this edition of Global Pulse. I'm Angela Murphy. Thanks for joining me on this global journey. Be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel now. That's Asia One News, where you can catch up on anything you may have missed right here. I look forward to your company next time we meet with more stories that matter from every corner of the world. But until then, stay informed and stay connected.